Hello everyone, Floppy Waffle 69 here, and welcome back to the channel, guys. Hey, today we are going to be looking at the new Tier 10 hybrid battleship for the Japanese. This is the Aki. Basically the Yamato hybrid that has been released in this 2025 iteration of the Steel Will event. Of course, I'm sure all these ships don't need an introduction by any means. I'm sure YouTube and feeds are flooded with content creators larger than me, that's for sure, playing these ships, giving you their opinions on these ships. And I think the overwhelming consensus on all these boats that Wargaming has been releasing this year for a very inflated price of 39,000 steel. Obviously that's artificial, not to dive too much into it, but you know, with the Grand Voyage event that's going on, obviously with all the Snowflakes events going on, like they knew people are going to have and be sitting on a metric fuck ton of steel. So it's not uncommon for them to jack up the prices in order for you to spend all that steel on a specific said ship, because what their main goal here is obviously for you to have just enough steel to buy potentially one with the steel coupon, and then have some left over, and maybe then to whale on Santa crates, get steel that way, plus the more tier 10s you have, get coupons, exchange them for mega gifts, and get lucky and keep spinning, you know, which is this whole gambling addiction that Wargaming wants you to do, which I'm sure it has worked for a lot of you. Okay, but for some of us that had a metric fuck ton of steel, we were able to get at least two of them, and then with one iteration of Santa crates, we were actually lucky enough to get all three. My plan for this Christmas was only to review the one ship that I really did want. And matter of fact, I ended up getting all three of these ships, which being the Aki, Hawaii, the Bremen, from a Santa crate or whatever. So I got the other two via Santa crates. Super lucky, super RNG. I'm sure that's not common for everyone else, but again, I don't know. It's your money. You do with what you will. My job here, though, or what I want to do, is I want to go into a little bit more depth than a lot of other content creators are doing. A lot of them are just showcasing battles in the background, showing you what they're strong about, talking a little bit about the ship, which is all fine and dandy. I have no problem with that. At the end of the day, it gets the message across. I'm sure that, like I was saying, the overwhelming consensus on all these ships were that they're all incredibly strong, blatantly overpowered, and Wargaming has done that on purpose. I'm sure you are well aware of that. But in regards of some people maybe can only afford one ship, and they're sitting there, they're going, I don't know what to do. I don't know what ship to pick. And they really want to look for an in-depth review about each specific ship, its playstyles, its strengths, its weaknesses, and kind of where they go from here. And that's kind of what I want to do on here on my channel, is kind of dive, you know, that extra step into what these ships can do, and how you're supposed to build them, at least in my opinion, and kind of how you're supposed to play them out on the high seas. And of course, I'm going to start with the Aki. This is, like I said already in the intro of the video, this is the Tier 10 Yamato hybrid ship. That to me is kind of a slap in the face. And the reason this is a slap in the face is because the Yamato is a great ship. I love the Yamato. I remember way back when I played this game, it was one of three battleships, I believe. I think the Kurfürst was the other one that came out when it was still you know, the crown jewel of the German battleship line. But you know, the Yamato's always been a strong, nostalgic battleship in this game, and I'm seeing a lot of players talking about how it's power crapped and it's not in the best state and blah blah and so and so. Look, this is my opinion on the Yamato. The Yamato is the definition of a battleship that is incredibly well balanced. It is a well-balanced battleship in this game, and I don't know where we deviated from that in regards of wargaming, but it's certainly not the same, you know, realms of balance that we were once used to all those years ago. It's definitely drifted away towards more of, we're just going to give it nothing but pros and hardly any cons, if any cons. And there is definitely a ship on here that I'll talk about that certainly has almost no cons to it. And if you really are like diving into what Wargaming's talking about with specific ships, the cons are very laughable at best. But again, I'm going to try to highlight all of those like I am here with the Aki, okay? So to sum up the Aki, guys, I've already mentioned it's a hybrid, blah, no fucking da. I mean, again, some of you might be interested in hybrid ships. I, for one, I'm not really too interested in them. Matter of fact, the only reason I really play them is because, here we go, kind of like a admitting phase. The only reason I really play hybrid ships is because I like to abuse the spotting mechanic with my planes, and I know they are a nuisance to a lot of players. That's it. That's end of discussion. And a lot of players are saying, well, Floppy, why don't you just go play CVs? And you're absolutely right. At that point in time, you should. But I still feel like I'm playing a surface ship while also role-playing as an aircraft carrier. Now, some hybrid ships role-play an aircraft carrier way better, okay? I'm not saying the Aki does a very good job of that. But like some ships, like to name off one that comes to mind, everyone should know about is the Hildebrand. Obviously, that ship is essentially a cruiser aircraft carrier, right? Some do a better job. Some, kind of complement or supplement their armament or their main battery guns with this ability. And I think battleships benefit the most from being hybrids, as DPM, they're less focused about DPM and more about that potential alpha strike. And that's where I think battleships can get away with it. Usually they're reloading anywhere between 26 to 40 seconds on their main battery guns. So it gives them time to shoot their guns, launch their aircraft, fly over to the target, spot them, potentially drop them, recall or go back to their main battery guns, and while those planes are then being recalled, they're still on their initiating their drop, you can then go ahead and shoot another salvo at a spotted target. So which is alleviating one of the biggest weaknesses or drawbacks to playing a battleship, so to speak, which is spotting. So now you can essentially spot for yourself, which is incredibly strong, and I really don't see that changing anytime soon. I know that the patrol fighters are supposedly supposed to be changed, or fighters in general, not just patrol fighters, but fighters in general, and their spotting mechanic are supposed to be changed coming into the next update of the beginning of next year, which again is a great change for the game. I'm excited to see that. But again, with normal squadrons still spotting, this isn't the case. They are still going to be able to spot you. So again, hybrids don't really lose anything. So from an investment standpoint, if you are interested in the Aki, just know that you have nothing to worry about as of right now when it comes to self-spotting, which again is a huge pro to your vessel, okay? And especially a ship like the Yamato, which the ship is based off, it's going to be sitting towards the rear end of the map anyways, which again is really strong for it. So really it doesn't have to really fear too much about taking incoming damage. That's why I really don't take concealment. I only think I take the concealment module, but I don't take the concealment captain skill, because I mean, I don't care if my concealment's 15.8 kilometers, whatever. I'm in the back of the map anyways. It really doesn't matter to me. I don't really need to rely on that stealth and how I'm going to be playing or performing in this vessel. So okay. And of course, the aircraft that this ship has on it are these HE dive bombers, which are absolutely demonic. They can do nothing short of, anywhere between 15,000 if you're landing 3 bomb hits or 4 bomb hits to 9 bomb hits doing up to 30,000 damage, especially with the penetration being well above 60 millimeters. These HE bombers are quite a nuisance. And not to mention, when you launch these fuckers, they have like the air gas tanks on them they're launching at like 300 knots in the air, which is incredible. Again, to me, that screams, we know you're going to be towards the middle to the rear end back of the map. We want to make sure that we get those aircraft up to the where the targets are located most likely, so that you can strike them, which again, not really happy with that game design from, game development balance standpoint for the game, right? And that's just one of many things that I'm not happy about the Aki, okay? But yeah, without further ado, I know I'm just talking a lot about these ships, but these are great valid points that I wanted to bring up with the Aki. So now that I hopefully have you interested, let's go ahead and do an actual in-depth look at the statistics when it comes to the Aki, her armor scheme, and kind of what makes her, up under the hood, right? So starting off, we are going to be looking at the armor of the Aki. And again, this is pretty similar or very identical to that of like the Shirokishima and the Yamato, right? You're going to have that 50 millimeter forend deck with that 32 millimeter nose and the 32 millimeter ass. The only difference on this boat compared to like the Shirokishima and the Yamato is you have this flight deck, right? Which is actually going to be better for you because it takes away some of that 32 millimeter ass that the Yamato and Shirky have, and it's instead going to put a 50 millimeter flight deck on top of that, which is going to basically going to help you with HE penetration and shatters, right? It's going to be shattering a lot of HE and potentially ricocheting a lot of long range armor piercing, or it will be ricocheting a lot of long-range armor piercing. So this thing is incredibly tanky when it goes into the nose-in position, right? And again, they realize that the Yamato players, even with the third turret, really don't utilize the third turret as much, so it's already going to be staying nose in. So now you physically don't have to angle at all or take those chances with the third turret. You literally have to just stay nose in. And again, to supplement that even more, the Aki gets ledge mod, Yamato dispersion essentially, or Shirokishima dispersion, which is all improved. So again, even further power creeping that of the Yamato, which is sad to me. I think the one thing they could have done on this ship to really kind of create more of a balance, like why you could play the Shirky and the Yamato over this fucking thing, is in order to gain the self-spotting, in order to gain the HE dive bombers, this thing has of the other Yamato class battleships the worst accuracy. I'm talking like we should talk even below levels or levels of like the Musashi, okay, in regards of its main battery. And only having 6 guns, that is a massive weakness. But we don't have to worry about that here. We have ledge mod, Yamato dispersion, because why? Of course not. We have to intrigue people to get the ship and spend steel so that maybe, 6 months down the road, we actually dress this ship if it becomes an issue. If it's not an issue, not enough people are playing it, it's kind of unpopular, which I already kind of suspect, sadly. Wargaming's not going to touch it, which again is just increasing the divide between balanced ships like your, Yamato class battleship, right? And to like the Aki, the Libertad, Colombo, that kind of stuff, okay? But touching on the Aki as well, as you see, we have a massive citadel here, well above the waterline, and we do actually have that, cheeks that you have on the Shirky and the Yamato. It does carry over here. So again, if you are seeing an angle like this, I know this boat's kind of in the way, but you're seeing an angle like this, you can 100% cheek this ship as well. So again, if you're the Aki player, I would probably just be going in like this or ever so slightly like this, because to kind of help protect that. I'd rather get a frontal citadel right through the nose than eat one on the cheek where I know it's more vulnerable. But that's just me, okay? Okay, everyone has their own thing. Survivability is 102,300 with a 55% torpedo belt reduction. Obviously, 55% carries over, but we actually have more hit points now than the Yamato. The Yamato has like, 97,000. So now we're break the 100,000 mark, and I'm assuming it's because it has a flight deck, so theoretically it's heavier tonnage, so it needs more HP. I don't know. Whatever. It has more HP, and only about, 4,000 or 5,000 more HP it has, so... Again, just another little different thing that they decide to create, which is actually going to help the Aki out more than the Yamato. Anyways, I'll touch on the aircraft last. Let's touch on the artillery. And I already mentioned this is like Shirokishima, Yamato dispersion values, which is basically, yeah, that's 100% correct. You have the 2x3 460, so we do lose that third turret in the back and pick up the flight deck. But let's be honest, guys, very rarely are you seeing Yamato players utilize that third turret. Of course, unless they play the Yamato and the Musashi like me, where actually I take chances and I utilize that third turret, because 9 shells that are very accurate flying down range is better than just 6 shells. So again, when you play the normal Yamato, you have to know when you can go ahead and swivel. When now in the Aki, you don't have to fucking worry about it because your cells are already going to be as accurate, and you just have to stay nose in, which is again increasing the survivability, increasing the tankiness of this ship. Again, I don't want to touch too much on the secondaries. It's a hybrid ship. You should not be building this ship for secondaries, but it has pretty much identical secondaries to that of the Yamato, with the 127s and the 155 Mogami turrets there in the front and the back here as well. Okay. Also, your main battery range is 26.1 kilometers, which again is more than enough. And I don't think, you don't have the spotter plane. So this is just standard and as it comes, which again, you don't really need a spotter plane, okay? Unless you're trying to use it to cheek over islands and hit those pesky little island humping cruisers like the Hawaii we have now. You don't have that on this ship. But again, you really don't need it because you can just bring and fly your massive dive bombers over there and hit them behind the island anyways, which hopefully avoiding them from being stationary. This ship eats Petros, Des Moines, Worcesters, any island-hugging cruiser, essentially, for lunch. It just absolutely demolishes cruisers. That's what these things are for, in my opinion, and or battleships that are just completely caught out that you can just smoke because they are a large surface area. These dive bombers, I'm sure the more skilled player you are, it's going to be easier to hit enemy destroyers, and the more familiar you get with the dive pattern of the Aki. For me, I mean, I would land a bomb or two maybe on a DD, but mainly I was targeting cruisers and especially battleships with these bombers. I would actually do more of a just fly my aircraft over the DD, have the DD turn on his AA so that my team can spot, or sorry, I'm spotting the DD for my team so my team can then shoot at the destroyer, and then maybe after I've lost like 3 or 4 planes, then attempt to strike. Because more often than not, I'm landing a bomb on the DD anyways, so it's like, it doesn't really matter. And I'd rather have that extra, 10 seconds, 15 seconds of spotting for my team to hopefully eliminate the target rather than me missing all my bombs. And then it obviously all my planes are getting recalled anyways. So just a little my opinion on the matter. A defenses, they're not bad. They're definitely better than the Yamato, I believe, when it comes to the anti-aircraft. That being said, though, it's still like you shouldn't be relying on the AA at all. I mean, I think the Yamato has better short-range DPS, so they're actually pretty similar. The flak strength on the Aki is obviously better because it's newer. That's how it goes. But again, you shouldn't be relying on your AA to fend off anything. You're still going to be a prime target for enemy strikes. I know that I was in a Hildebrand, and me and the Aki were basically constantly striking each other with our planes, and I actually killed the Aki. With my Hildebrand, just because he could not fend off my strikes. Again, my planes were faster in the Hildebrand, and I could recycle them or, get them up faster than the key anyways. So it was kind of a no-brainer. I was going to win that contest. Just to put it in perspective, okay? Maneuverability really doesn't matter because you're pretty stationary all game anyways. 27 knots, turning circle radius of 920, and rudder shift time of 18.7. Now, I want you to pay attention to the turning circle radius and the rudder shift time, and I'm pretty sure I should have... Yeah, because you don't take propulsion, you take the okay. I was gonna say if the aircraft, Billy, what was that? The aircraft one here. If this wasn't available, definitely take prop mod, but there's no reason to because you 100% are gonna take that. You're stationary anyways. It doesn't matter. You don't need to take rudder shift or prop mod. You're basically gonna be staying nose in anyways. So to me, that's a no-brainer, right? So really, these values, the only one that I guess is concerning or alerting is the 27 knot speed, but even then that's fine. I mean, it's not breaking 30. Who really gives a fuck? You're not like going to be getting into the fray of things anyways towards the late game. So I said the maneuverability I really wouldn't worry about. Plus you have a 55% torpedo belt reduction. So if enemy torpedo bombers are going to come strike you, you can more often than not get away with it just because you have such a reinforced torpedo bulkheads. Okay. And then obviously I already mentioned to you about the concealment. Now I do take the concealment mod in this slot because the other two I will never make use of, realistically speaking. So to me, 15.8 is fine. I do not take concealment expert skill. I put that into other stuff, bolstering my AA defenses a little bit, buffing other aspects of my ship. So that's why I really didn't want to go ahead and take the concealment expert skill. Okay, 15.8 is more than adequate for me. Okay. Now, the last but not least is we want to talk about the aircraft. And these are the bombers here, the one attack flight that you get of these puppies. Now, you can store up to 2 flights of these, going from 8 to 16 on your deck. Okay, and I know a lot of Jesus, I don't know why it recalled that. And a lot of other CCs or a lot of content creators, or whatever, are saying that you should do that. And for me, I think it's depending on the situation. But yeah, more often than not, I would probably agree with them. I'd say that you're probably going to want to store both your strikes on the ship. I mean, you do have 460 millimeter guns that goes ahead and overmatches 32 millimeters of armor. Those are effective guns, and they're pretty damn accurate and reliable. So of course you're going to want to keep your guns as hot as possible. And then again, you go ahead, you're pretty much guaranteed to fire and massive damage with one strike. So then you go follow up. By the time you go and get your next squadron out there to strike that same exact target, priority DCP'd, his DCP's down, and you're most likely going to get another fire or two, and you're going to go ahead and relight him again and do a chunk him potentially for another 15 or 30,000 damage, depending on what ship it is and his armor values and how many bombs you get to drop. But I don't think I've ever covered a hybrid ship on this channel, so it is a little bit different for me. But basically, here's your stats on the side of the screen. They're not the fastest planes, but again, I already mentioned to you that the engine boost time, like when you come off, not the engine boost time, but the propelled takeoffs that you have, basically puts your ship well over 300 knots of speed. So you're humming down the map at 300 knots for however long that's going to last. I can't remember the exact numbers on my head. And then by the time they're done, then you're going to slowly recede your speed down to 140 without your speed boost. Your maximum speed is 182 knots, and that engine boost time is going to last you 10 seconds with pressing the W key or whatever it is. But yeah, I mean, you have 2 bombs and payloads. That means every bomber here is going to drop 2 bombs max, each hitting for 8,500 damage and penetrating 61 millimeters of armor with a 48% chance to start a fire. Guys, this is ludicrous. This is absolutely demonic. What you are going to do to enemy ships, especially if you land even a small number of bombs, what you can do to enemy ships. It is not uncommon. I think the realistic range that you're going to be hitting ships for is anywhere between 12 to 18,000 damage. And then if you get freaking awesome RNG, I'm talking the ship is nose in, stationary. You go up, you strike, and you strike the rear end of his ship, because that's obviously where it's most juicy. Oh my God, you're going to be doing well over 20,000 up to potentially 30,000 damage. And I know I have some good examples of bomb drops. Obviously, there's been better bomb drops by other community contributors and other content creators and all that stuff here on YouTube. But again, it's just supposed to show you the power that these dive bombers have. And I think the ship has only been buffed. I don't think they've ever nerfed this ship when it was going through testing. I think it went through like 2 rounds of buffs, and then here we go. It's stuck in the Steel Will event. So this ship is crazy. But I think if I'm looking at this ship from the other ships that are in the Steel Will event, excluding the submarine and excluding the French Tier 9 Le Harvey or whatever it's called, I think I don't want this to bite me in the ass, but I think this is the least overpowered of the 3. Okay, just because of, I guess, only 6 guns, but it's still accurate. So it's like, I don't know. It's really hard for me to say a statement like that. Maybe I retract that statement. I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm a cruiser main. Maybe it's because I have cruiser bias. But again, this ship is completely strong. It is completely broken. I don't like this ship. And I just don't really want to play her that much because of how strong she is. If you've been on my channel for any amount of time, you really don't see me playing ships that are like known to be broken. Like a prime example for the 2 that you know about, everyone should know about, is like the Libertad and the Colombo. I very rarely, if ever, play those ships just because I don't want to be that person, and that's just me. I'd rather play ships that have a little bit more of a rewarding feeling. Like same with the Smolensk back in the day. Like I'd rather play like the Colbert or the Worcester. Ships like that actually take a little bit of like hands and understanding the game and dodging and a little bit of skill. I want to put that in quotes, those skill, to play those ships. Okay, that's just my opinion on the matter. But again, you take it as you will. I'm still trying to give as much of a non-biased opinion on the ship and review. For me, is she worth it? If it's me, I'm going to say no to myself. But for me, like, not being biased about it and just looking at the ship and how it is and how, oh yeah, it's 100% worth it. The ship is strong as fuck. I don't know why you wouldn't want to play this ship. And again, if this ship is the ship you're eyeing on your radar, hopefully the gameplay that I'm going to show you helps, a little bit more emphasize what I'm trying to talk about here in port. So without further ado, guys, let's go ahead and see what I can do with her in game. Alrighty, guys, and here we are in battle with the Aki. I believe this is on Two Brothers. And it looks like we are in a full tier 10 game. Aircraft carriers, of course, because why would it not be? But again, our team has, 2 aircraft carriers to, I don't even see if they have a hybrid on their team. Maybe they do. I can't see. So, but anyways, it doesn't matter. This is the Aki here on Two Brothers, and obviously it's going to highlight a lot of things that I want to showcase to you guys. One being, this is kind of in air quotes, how far I push up in the beginning of the game, which is not very far at all. I want to be able to be at that right position so that it's kind of that happy medium area. I would say medium to long range is where this ship is really going to benefit from. Of course, when the Bremen has his max range spotter plane on me, obviously he's still going to be able to hit me. But I think that I am making him focus on me is better than focusing on other ships that have a little bit more carry potential on my team, like there in the Sfei, for example. Okay, so anywho, the first thing you want to know when it comes to your key is obviously the positioning. I think this is a incredibly important part when you want to play this ship. I know a lot of other content creators will say, hey, go move up, kind of sit and park your ass behind an island so that only maybe 1 to 2 ships can see you, and then you can fire back with your guns. Or if you want to sit where I'm sitting, kind of in this medium to long range, this is another good spot as well. I think as long as I can shoot and hit the targets reliably, I think I am close enough. I think any closer would then mean getting focused, and I don't think that's where I want to be. There's a good example of the dispersion on this ship, landing, a total of 5 of my 6 shells there on the Sibir, hitting him for just under 13,000 damage, which is incredible, given the fact that the Sibir, known for being a tanky hull, as it is based on the Kremlin, and able to hit him there, and when he was, on a slight angle, is huge. Is able to chunk him right where his superstructure meets his deck, which again is a sweet spot. That's kind of what I'm doing more so when I'm shooting enemy battleships at range with this thing. I find myself, I'm not really trying to aim for citadels. Obviously, it depends on how much angle they're showing me, but I'm really just trying to chunk them and do a decent amount of damage to them. Here's an example of a submarine player that has no idea what he is doing. We see a lot of those, so we will go ahead and take that as a freebie kill. Again, I don't know why subs are so aggressive now. Those days are long gone. They'd be better off playing way more passive than that. I just can't think that that was a good play on his part. Okay, but here's going to be an example of the dive bombers being utilized at a good time. First of all, note the speed that they are going to get to the target. That is incredibly fast, like I was mentioning with those boosters. Incredible, right? Also, 2, the Sibir has fully concealed himself behind the island, and this is a prime spot to be like, okay, no one can shoot you, no one can hit you, I'm going to force you out, at least to soak a damage control party here. He is stationary, he is nose in, I'm attacking right at the nose, aiming towards the rear part of his ship, and boom, shakalaka, we hit him for 24,300 damage, give or take. And we go ahead and set a fire on top of that. I mean, that is incredibly high damage. When he was playing smart, when he was utilizing island coverage, when he's doing everything in his power to maintain his HP pool, we go ahead and schwack him because we can. You think you're safe, you're really not that safe. And also, I apologize for that. I actually got disconnected mid-game, which is absolute horseshit. So we went ahead and reloaded and got the re-recording going here for you guys. So I do apologize for that. But again, that was a prime example of a perfect scenario when to utilize those dive bombers. Anyone that is island hugging or thinking that they are safe while they're concealed behind those islands, they just are not, guys, and take full advantage of that. Okay. Here is a broadside Moskva. I believe we fuck up our aim just a bit, as I wasn't actually planning on him reversing still, but he goes ahead and reverses and gets lucky. I aimed, I thought, which was right there, center dead mass of his ship. He reversed, which made at least one of the 2 shells land just a little bit slightly far forward, and he got away with bloody murder there. So here's another example of utilizing the dive bombers. I believe I want to hit the Montana next. I really had my eyes on the Vampire, but I know that the likelihood of me landing any reliable amounts of damage, especially with a Montana right here too on the Vampire, is very slim. So I went ahead and went for the larger target where I know I could potentially soak a battleship player for a damage control party, maybe from just 1 or 2 fires. Again, waiting to my reticles fully aimed. We go ahead and land, 4 bombs in him with a fire and just over 10,000 damage, I believe what it was. I couldn't catch the number. I was trying to look at other things as well. And then we go ahead and follow up with a shot that hits him for about 6,000. Okay. So in total, I hit him for about 18,000 damage, give or take. Anywhere between 15 and 18,000 damage. It's like, all right, I'll 100% take that because I'm able to spot for myself. And especially when my planes are going out to these ranges, it's also allowing my team to shoot at these targets as well. Okay. Here's a Bremen, I guess, building his Bremen for, maybe it's a lighthouse with max range built on there while utilizing his spotter plane. I really don't know what he's doing, but stay tuned for when I go ahead and do my Bremen review. I don't showcase the lighthouse variant or the normal build variant. I just believe in the normal build variant. I think the lighthouse is going to be just way too situational. It is fun. Trust me, I have done it. But again, for the vast majority of players, I would highly recommend that you just don't do that. You're going to get way more out of it with the standard cruiser build. And again, I don't want to talk too much about that. That's for a separate video. I want to focus more here on the Aki. And again, notice my positioning on the ship. I have not moved forward at all. I've actually just reversed, gone slightly forward, reverse, gone slightly forward, just to throw off aims or aiming and shells from various other targets. And I'm still hitting the targets reasonably well, where I'm not like at a massive disadvantage. I feel like I have great game impact as of right now, and I felt like if I went ahead and pushed too far forward, especially earlier on in the game, I feel like I would have been half HP by now, a little bit more of a panic mode, you know. So I didn't want to go ahead and do that yet. Okay. Consumable wise on this ship, you have 2 consumables. That's all you get. You get your damage control party and you get your heal. I believe with the build I have, I think you get 5 heals. I think you just get 4 base. So I will go ahead. Obviously, I already showed you in the beginning of this video the captain build and the upgrades. I stand by it all. I think the build is pretty self-explanatory and pretty straightforward. And I believe my upgrades are the way to go. I don't think taking Concealment Expert again on the commander is really going to do anything more for me than I can already do at 15.8 kilometers. And it all depends where you want to play the ship. I feel like the ship plays better at longer ranges. Why do I need to be the one to close the distance when it comes to having, you know, my armament strength, which is my planes and my guns? They're well enough effective at those longer ranges, right? So I went ahead and did that. So there's, I think I only get like 1 bomb hit, which again is what I'm saying. I think I hit him for like just over 3,000. I find DDs obviously are the hardest to land on these. You do throw a shit ton of bombs at your reticle, which is what, 12 bombs, I think? Or is it 16 bombs? I can't remember. I think it's... Yeah, I know each bomb drops 2 bombs, but I can't remember if I said there was 12 bombers in a squadron or if there was only 8. There might be only 8, so maybe 16 bombs going. Again, which gives you a lot of chance to hit the destroyers, but again, I'm sure it's a little bit of user error here. Once you get a little bit more proficient in the use of your dive bombers, I'm sure it's going to be no problem for you guys to go ahead and land those bombs on those pesky little DDs, right? But now, because half the enemy team has been eroded away, has been founded, we're gonna go ahead and move up, right? This is the smart thing to do. There's no point in still playing back where I was playing. I'm gonna go ahead and move up to around, what is that, F4? Yeah, E4, around those areas, F4, so I can go ahead and keep my guns hot like I said I was, while going ahead and closing the distance between how far it takes my dive bombers to get out to the targets, right? Obviously, my guns are locked on this vampire because I initially thought the vampire was going to continuously reverse right into my guns, but he actually reverses just enough that I believe our ally, what is that, a Moskva? I think, I'm not 100% sure, goes ahead and open up on him. So he should be dead. There should be no problem for me to go ahead and switch my artillery towards that fucking Bremen that's been HE spamming me from max range around 20-21 kilometers. So has he been very effective at doing that? No. Not at all. I don't think the Bremen is that effective when it comes to the ridiculously long ranges of HE spamming, especially when you're affecting the overall DPM of your ship by taking even more range. You have a spotter plane. I'd rather you just spec into the spotter plane and increase the duration and the likelihood of that getting up quicker than actually taking the range on the ship. I think you're losing out on precious DPM, which really makes that ship broken. Okay, but again, I don't want to get sidetracked talking about the Bremen. What else is there to talk about the Aki, guys? Well, one thing that I have failed to mention would be the armor piercing, and I'll go ahead and put a little screen up here between the AP, I guess, ranges and numbers of the Yamato and the Aki. Very similar, very identical. There's really not that much changes to the ships. I'd say the biggest difference between the Yamato and the Aki is the reload time. The ship has what, a 27-second reload, 28-second reload compared to the Ledge Mod Yamato at 30, and it's just as accurate. There's really no comparison between the two. It's just flat out more accurate. Both 180-degree turn times are 60 seconds. That does suck, because I think a lot of battleships nowadays are having fucking 30-second traverse time, which again is just way too fast. But yeah, but again, you really aren't turning your turrets that much because your nose is facing inward, so you can go ahead and absolutely dumpster the enemy with your HE bombs, and then go ahead and follow up with your AP salvo, just like you saw here with the Petro. And that is a big strategy that I do want to highlight. people will always attempt, unless they are super unicum, will always attempt to dodge your strikes, even knowing that your guns are literally locked onto them and you're right there. They will still attempt to dodge your strikes from aerial aspects. Then they will attempt to angle towards your main battery gun. So go ahead, launch your airstrikes. Go ahead and drop on them. They will angle, make them turn broadside to you, and then follow up with your guns, and you will do catastrophic damage to them because this thing does absolutely dumpster enemy cruisers. Again, there should be no one should have a surprised look on their face that this ship absolutely dummies enemy cruisers, as cruisers nowadays have decently big citadels and easy to hit. Of course, unless your name is the Hawaii, which is based off the Alaska Hole, which is the underwater citadel. Though I understand the thought there, and if you look at the armor scheme of the Hawaii, you're thinking, wow, this thing does have an underwater citadel, and it is harder to hit. But when it came to like large caliber battleships with these large caliber guns, like my 460s or plus, I have no problem striking the Alaska or the now in case the Hawaii's citadel. I usually get a lot of citadels on those two. The only one that is fairly tricky for me is the Petropavlovsk. Oh, not the Petropavlovsk, god damn it, the Puerto Rico. That thing does have a very, very wonky citadel that is completely submerged. And again, down the road, maybe I'll go ahead and showcase that ship one of these days. But yeah, guys, that's basically the key in a nutshell. My final thoughts on this ship is it's a good ship. It is incredibly strong, and it has power crept the Yamato completely. And it does bring a tear to my eye because I think the Yamato, like I said previously in this video, is just a well-balanced ship. And I wish that they would bring other ships or develop other ships or design other ships like they have the Yamato or the Montana or the Kurfürst, but instead the newer ships are just getting inflated stats, just stronger and stronger and stronger, giving up less and gaining more, while other ships like the Yamato, Montana, the Kurfürst, the Preußen, ships like that, the Republik, are just kind of being more or less forgotten about. And now with this latest patch or whatever, update 15, whatever, they want to rebalance the legendary mods, which I'm happy about, but they think that's going to solve the balancing issue. Like I guess the one that has everyone talking about is like the Cristoforo Colombo. Like, wow, 2 less smoke screens. Holy fuck, that's really gonna rein this ship in. Like, it's very questionable why they just don't want to nerf these ships. I just don't understand. I'd really love for there to be like a town hall meeting or something like that, where we have a Q&A where we have the balancing team come on there and answer questions, because fuck, that would be great. Wouldn't that be great? I would love to see that. But my final thoughts on the Aki is, like I said, it's a very, very strong ship. It is broken with its dive bombers and being able to abuse the plane spotting mechanic and spotting for itself. Obviously, it only has 2 frontal-mounted turrets that are 460 millimeters that overmatch 32 millimeters of effective armor, so there's no reason to ever show your broadside, unless you're running into equally high-caliber guns where the 460s can overmatch you. There really isn't a weakness to this ship. Yes, its AA isn't that strong, so if you get into carrier games and are getting focused by carriers, yes, by all means, that is going to take you down by a bit, but you should be positioning yourself that you don't look as enticing to enemy carrier players, okay? What else is there to talk about the Aki? I think that this ship, for its steel wheel event price, is a little bit high, but again, it's incredibly strong, right, for what it can do. Again, with the guns, not having to give up anything to still get that legendary Yamato dispersion is just absolutely criminal. And I do wish Wargaming would address this ship. I'm sure they're not going to address it anytime soon, but I can only hope and pray that the ship is reined in down the road. But again, I just don't think hybrid ships are as popular, so you're not going to see them adjust hybrid ships at all. I think the Louisiana line, as it was a tech line, battleship line, I think was initially popular at first, especially being United States Navy, let's be honest. So that's why eventually, or initially, they made changes to the HE bomber reticles on the Delaware, Nebraska, and Louisiana. But premium ships that are locked behind a 39,000, steel wall, I don't really see them making much changes to this ship anytime soon. That's for sure. So anyways, that leads us to victory, and go ahead and take us to the post-battle screen, where we have accumulated 210,000 damage. And again, guys, that is a cakewalk in the ship with what you can do. This ship just cranks out damage. So I'm assuming that other people have gotten far better results than in their key than I will or have. So anyways, guys, thanks for tuning in to this review. I will catch you all in the next one. Have a good rest of your day and peace out, guys.